Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, folks. Hey, how is everybody doing? Welcome aboard. Melanie Keelan is in the house. And so is Eric Hayes, Mike Cisak, Bridge MCP, or New York Star. Carl Cox is in here with us as well. E2247 and AVQ actually made it in after all. Great to see you, brother AVQ. El Senor Rudnin and the one and only Lee Grant. How you doing, Lee Grant? Did I miss anybody? If I missed anybody, please forgive me. Anyhow, we are going to have a great show for you today. And we are going to start. I tell you what, let me start with sort of a teaser. This is just from an interview that I did at Netroots with Erica Shamsky. She's an exec with Shire, volunteer organizations. I just want you guys to see some of the things that we have planned for the 2024 election, all the mobilization that's occurring. So check out what their company is doing as far as working with candidates, etc. And then we'll get into some other sections of the program with Bernie Sanders and much more. I got some good clips from Bernie that I think is essential that we actually get to. But let's go ahead and get to Erica Shamsky. Then we'll continue. Welcome to Politics and Right. My name is Egberto Willis. We are honored today to be with Erica Shamsky with Shire. And who's Shire? Shire believes that
volunteering should be easier.
And you know what? Volunteering should be easier. Tell us a little bit about your company. I think you have a new product in beta that will make a whole lot of things easier for activists. Talk to me about it.
So sometimes when someone wants to lend their voice to your movement, to your cause, to your campaign, it's a little too hard for them to show up. And it takes a while to onboard them and engage them. But what if there was a place where everyone who wanted to show up could? What if there was a way to recruit and onboard and engage every single volunteer in under a minute and a half?
Under a minute and a half?
Under a minute and a half.
Okay, well, tell me about this. Tell me about it.
Sorry. So at Shire, we believe that everyone should have a home in the movement. Right. And what we saw during COVID was this move to online organizing.
Right, a whole lot, yeah.
And it was kind of messy. We were figuring it out for the first time. So our co-founder, Samantha, was able to take these lessons learned when she was a campaign manager and use her tech background to create this platform. Mm-hmm. So when you work for a campaign that uses Shire, you're able to, go on there and say, hey, I want to volunteer. I want to show up. I want to be part of the work. And we say, great, come on in. And that's it. It's that easy.
And when they come on in, what does that mean? Come on in. What do I get from you to make you, first of all, to make you a part of it and make it easy for you to be a part of it?
Absolutely. The first thing that you'll generally see, depending on the campaign, is a message from, the candidate.
In what form?
Let's say video.
Oh, okay.
A video message.
You get a video message over your phone.
You get a video message, and then you get to talk to someone. You get to talk to someone right away. Someone welcomes you, and someone says, thank you.
A human being?
A human being. Okay. A real human being, not a robot.
Okay. All right.
So, it's so simple. Right. We know as organizers that the best way to retain volunteers and engage volunteers and broaden the scope of that movement is to honor them, respect them, thank them, make them feel welcome, and make them feel like it matters. Because it does. It matters. We need everyone.
I tell you something that's interesting, because a lot of times, and my daughter will go on and say, Dad, you're always using that word antiseptic. But there are some times that you find that with all these online tools, they're really made in a form that's a bit antiseptic. It's not, you don't feel that human touch in it. And so I don't know, unless you're a real, an activist that just is embedded into the system, you say you go in a bit and it turns out that you may not want to do it after all. If what you're saying is, well, I shouldn't say what you're saying, given the way your product is designed, it seems like that is what you're attempting to mitigate.
We are, and I think sometimes when people show up to volunteer, they get thrown into like 17 different chat channels in a trench coat, right? And their phone just beeps forever and they go, I can't do this. You know, I want to do one thing. And so at Shire, we've made that a little easier. You know, you tell us you want to, you know, do remote texting.
Right.
Here's everything you need to do remote texting. You know, whatever service the campaign is using for that, and a chat that will get you involved with other volunteers and organizers to help you be successful in that work. And we've built accessibility right into the platform.
Right.
So that enables us to engage volunteers with disabilities in a way that I think really came to light during COVID. How many people we were leaving behind.
Right.
You know, our people are out there.
Right.
They're out there. Let's go invite them in. Let's make it easier for someone to volunteer. You know, even if you're like a rural voter, you know, you live in a gerrymandered district, you're 4.5 hours away from the closest campaign office. That doesn't mean your voice doesn't matter.
Right.
But you shouldn't have to drive 4.5 hours to help out. What if you work all day? What if you work you're a teacher. You get up early in the morning, you go to work, you spend all day, you got to get home, take care of your own kids, right? You can't give 8 hours at a time to go knock on doors, but maybe, just maybe, you have half an hour every day that you can make sure that your voice counts.
So the way you've designed this is you allow for these metrics to be placed in your system, and given these metrics in your system, you can know what to offer that person who wants to volunteer.
Well, here's the cool thing about Shire.
Yeah.
It's not one size fits all.
Right.
We're able to tailor this for every single campaign, every single organizer. You tell us what you want. You tell us what you need for your volunteers to have, and we'll help you get there.
So you build this custom for each particular campaign.
It's pretty cool.
Okay. So in other words, you have a basic framework that you work from. And after that framework, whenever that campaign needs, they come and they consult and they find out what you need and provide you with.
Correct. When you're an organizer or a campaign manager and you sign up to use, you know, the Shire system, we are going to hold your hand. We are going to help you set this up. But here's the cool part. It's so easy. Right. Like if you can spare like 1 or 2 days to learn it, you are going to be well on your way. And your volunteers, maybe a couple minutes to figure it out.
Now, is this cloud-based software, or is this how?
Both. It's both.
Okay. Well, good.
I'm not on the tech side.
Oh, no. I know. That's fine, because I should be expected, the person who is describing the outward functioning of the program. What happened is I'm a software developer, and I was intrigued by what you were talking about.
Well, then you tell me.
No. I was actually intrigued by
it's pretty
what
cool.
you're talking about.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, and it works on web, it works on mobile. It's like, it should be, you agree, it should be easier.
No, and that's why I said, when I earlier spoke about it, things being antiseptic, that's what I meant, right? Yeah. In other words, if you can get a system that actually is, and user-friendly is an overused word, because user-friendly is not what we're talking about. We're talking about human friendly. In other words, something that people want to do.
Yeah, you know? It's like, everyone should have a home, right? Everyone should feel at home. When they want to show up, they should feel at home, and we can help. Right.
And there you go. You know, that's what's important. But anyway, so I always end with one particular question. What would you have liked me to ask you about your tool or about what you guys are doing that I didn't?
Well, that's such a good question. That's such a good journalist question.
There you go. It takes me out of trouble.
I know, and I should be expecting it, and I never am.
Don't worry, nobody does. Yeah.
Nobody does. I think the most important thing to know about Shire is that, well, not the most important thing, but a very important thing for organizers to know about Shire is that we're ready to go. If you want to go to our website and sign up, and we're in beta right now, which means that we have some flexibility to work with campaigns and figure out who needs what. Right. And it's really kind of an exciting time. You know, I think digital organizing, remote volunteering is going to be so crucial in 2024. You know, I don't want to bum you out, but like, we have got to win.
No doubt. I tell you what, how can folks who want to help their volunteers, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, right now we're working with a wide variety of campaign organizers, candidates, unions, and it's really great. So if you are running a campaign, if you need help, if you need volunteers, if you want to really, truly engage people wherever they're at, just come on over to the website and check us out.
So what's your website?
Getshire.com.
Getshire.com. Spell it out because sometimes you know how it goes.
GETSHIRE.com.
All right, you could have said .com. Anyway,
it's more fun.
It is my pleasure, Erica. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics
so
and keep up. You guys keep doing that good work because we need all the help we can get in progressive activism.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Take care. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. Yes. I hope you enjoyed that. I make sure that the producers and executive producers of that particular video is shown on the screen. All of you guys who supported what we did out there in Chicago. One more time, thank you very much. And like I said, that's why your names are on every one of the videos and YouTube that we do for this particular project that we did in Chicago. Anyway, welcome aboard. I think Melanie Keelan is in, as well as Maywood. Maywood found us. Great, Maywood. Let's see if there's anything I need to read out here. Lee Grant says, progressive border policies give us Massachusetts governor declares state of emergency amid influx of migrants seeking shelter. We are in a period where we're going to have to go through the pains of the migration coming a lot from the South, but from all over the world because of many of our own policies in those particular countries. So we can't just look at, it's like trying to heal a sore that is infected from within, and you're just trying to make it look pretty on the outside instead of digging into the infection, cleaning it out, so that eventually the outside will look just fine. We have a lot of cancers to dig out in not only our economic policy, but in our foreign policy. What else have we got here that we should be reading? Let me see. Michael Rudden is talking about wanting term limits, 8 years for president, 12 years for House of Representatives and Senate, and 18 years for Supreme Court. I don't like term limits because I think the best term limit is the voter. I think if a voter wants to keep somebody for longer than 20 years, they should have that ability to do so because it's a democracy. Now, I understand for those who believe, the corruption that occurs makes it that incumbent or have that particular thing, but I don't know if I'm ready to go there. Let's see. Egberto Willis, you are blurry. I am looking at the screen here, so that must be the speed with which the stuff is going out. I am not sure. Yeah, I can see on the YouTube channel that it is in fact blurry, but what we're transmitting doesn't seem to be blurry here. So that must be an issue with YouTube. It'll correct itself. It's probably a YouTube issue. Okay, let's see what else have we got here. Para ver qué más. Actually, it is blurry on mine too, but it looks like it's clearing up some. I think it's a throughput issue right now. Let's see. Bruce says, look okay on Facebook. Eric says, Egberto, no term limits. You get Gerital government. Look at now. Well, I mean, again, each candidate represent the people who vote for them. So if you're willing to say you don't want people to have the right to vote for any candidate that they want at any time, that's fine. Again, this is not something that I'm going to die on the sword for. If most people really sit there and believe that term limits are the way to go, I will back out. I would back down. I don't like term limits, but if most people do, it is not a hill that I'm willing to fight on because, again, it's sort of just a subjective issue. Let's see what else we got to go for. Eric Hayes says, we have a gerontocracy. I think they call it a gerontocracy. I just, believe it or not, I couldn't spell that word until I had to look it up when that guy used it. Okay, refresh, not blurry anymore. Let me try that. That may be the deal, Breach. I just refreshed as well. And I think you may be right, girl. I think you may be right. Not blurry anymore. You're right, Breach. That is what needed to be done. Just refresh. I guess it gets another connection. All right. Policy of federal government not following current laws via the South allowing flows. Okay. I like that Eric loves to give his opinion when it's something that he doesn't quite know about. Brother, please learn a little bit about the policy south of our border, specifically south of Mexico. It is so important before you make certain kinds of comments. All right. Let's see what else we got here. I had to look up the word. I did too, Breach. All right, we got another video here. This one here was one from KPFT a couple days ago. I want you to see how I addressed the guy who was a real Biden hater. I don't think I completely convinced him of, changing his ways or anything like that. But at least it showed that he was willing to think. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side. Let's go ahead and bring Joe into the conversation, and then we'll continue with the program thereafter. Go ahead, Joe. Come on in.
Hey, man, I got a couple of comments for you this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Man, I just have to say, after that tirade, I think you guys are living in complete and utter fantasy land.
Sure. Go ahead.
The school board was taken over because of graft and corruption that really has invaded and inhabits, the majority of the Democrat Party. I'm not saying, the Republican form of graft and corruption occurs in different ways, but you guys are nothing but a couple of DNC operatives who write hit pieces, and I don't know where you make your money, but it's really, to sit up here and say that the 2020 election was proven to be the cleanest in history is out and out false. Everyone with a pair of eyes saw that it was just utterly rigged.
Okay, which election are you talking about, sir? Which election? 2020 or 2022?
2020 presidential election.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
You guys are so stoked about getting women to call. But honestly, I get this creepy romance vibe that needs to just go away before I think you can expect women to start to call. Also, on a daily basis, you support a rapist, right? You lend support to Joe Biden, who many years ago, one of his aides accused him of raping her. She did the right thing right then. She called the police. But then they said, Senate rules, what happens in the Senate stays in the Senate. And it was completely covered up. Right. And Tara Reid is her name. And it's all fine to say me too, except for her. You guys overlook the fact that creepy old baby sniffer is a rapist. And I think y'all support him. That clown and his family is why you don't get them.
So Joe. Okay, I gave you a whole lot of time to talk because, as you know, I'm very fear. I'm very fear. Don't hang up though, but don't hang up at all. The same way that I gave you my ears, I'd like to have your ears now. I don't like to play whataboutism, but in some respect, I think you're forcing me to play whataboutism. Okay. So there is one incident that one young lady reported with, and I'm going into this because I want to let you know that I was in fact listening to you. There's one particular incident with Joe Biden that a woman accused him way after the fact, right, of doing something. I don't know how you prove that, but let's just leave that there. One person, let's leave that on the table. But when
it was after the fact.
Okay, let's for right then. Just like I listened to you, I'll ask you to do the same for me. Now, as far as Trump is concerned, I think it has been a constancy with Trump. And in fact, he is on tape talking about what he does to women. My question to you on that one issue, let's do one at a time. On that one issue, does that offend you?
So he doesn't.
It's a yes or no, sir. It's a yes or no. Does it offend you on the way he speaks about grabbing on women, etc.?
In the context that he says it, right? He is with his. It's a secret recording. He's with his crew. He's laughing and joking, and no, honestly, no.
So it doesn't offend you. Okay, that's fine. It's fine. It doesn't offend. It's okay. That's fine. That doesn't offend you. It doesn't offend you that a judge, an impartial judge, said that in as much as he was found liable for sexually abusing a woman, but in our parlance today, what he did was rape. That doesn't offend you as well.
Did she bring that up at the time, or was it much later after?
She brought it up at the time, and there were corroborating witnesses, several corroborating witnesses that convinced her not to bring it to the legal sphere because of who Donald Trump was.
Oh, well, I haven't seen those facts, but yeah, that's a problem.
Well, that would be a problem with you. I'm so happy that you said that, Joe, because I just got a new impression of you, because at first it was pretty bad. Now, let me continue a little bit further. When it comes to the school district, I am not going to deny that the school district has problems, but I think any particular person who turns over that district to a person who believe in a voucher system, to a person who believe in the privatization of education, for a group that doesn't want that, for parents who don't want that. And remember, purportedly, the Republican Party says that they believe in two things: local control and parent control. And in having the HISD being turned over to a board dictated by the governor, both of those things were negated. Or don't you have to agree with that by definition?
Come
on, Joe. It's a yes or no, Joe. Come on, let's. But it's
not yes or no, because this is a crime enforcement thing that they're doing. They're fighting fraud.
Again, no. Let me stop you a second. Fraud is not, if they're fighting fraud, that's in the legal domain, and we do have prosecutors, whether it's be state prosecutors. If the local prosecutors doesn't take control, the state could bring a prosecutor and prosecute the specific corruption, if there was corruption, without saying, I'm taking over the entire school board undemocratically. Don't you agree with that, sir?
This seems like a rash move. Seems like a big
thank you. Again, what I'm trying to show, brother Joe, what I'm trying to show you is one thing. When we sit down and talk together, right, and not take things from the inflammatory way that you would hear on Fox News or otherwise, that we generally come to the similar conclusions, because we both care about kids. We both care about our country. We both care about our city. I got to move on, Joe. But the reason I wanted to bring this up, right, is in as much as you had a diatribe against myself and my brother, Neil Aquino, I think we're closer than you believe. So give me a closer before I jump to Johnny.
My closer, baby. Let's make America great again.
Thank you, brother. That's good enough. I want to make America great. I don't know about the again portion, but I want to make America great. So as you see, when you lead folks one step at a time, where things are irrefutable, they either have to accept the irrefutability, or they have to accept being dumb, right? And nobody wants to be dumb. So when you're asking the questions in a sequential manner, in a logical manner, in an effective manner, even as they hate the answer that they have to give, the truth is truth is truth. Now you can put your neck in the sand, you can lie to yourself, you can do all these different things, right? But when the material is out there, I am sorry, it's out there. And by the way, Bridge MCP, thank you for the list of Trump's accusers and their allegations of sexual misconduct. I wish I had that document. I wasn't doing any research on that then to provide to the guy. Let's see what else we got here. Let me go up into the scroll and see. Harvey, who is Harvey? Eric, I don't know who you're talking about. All right, Melanie Keelan says gerontologist is an elderly person, doctor. Eric Hayes says, I don't know what that is. Michael Rudden says, nah, the entirety of the Republican Party is bought and paid for by corporations that bribe them, but so is half of, before reading the whole thing, as I was about to, Michael, don't leave the Democratic Party out of it. And there it is. We think alike, brother. We think alike. But so is half the Democratic Party. It's why we got the Affordable Care Act rather than the public option, rather than Medicare for all or healthcare for all, whichever one you want to call it. Bridge MCP says this guy is a bit ignorant, but he's an avid listener of Politics Done Right. We'll eventually bring him around. All right. Michael Rudner says Tara Reid accused Joe Biden of groping her, but I completely discounted that accusation as she fled to Russia. It's amazing that the place that she went to is a place that we know was involved in helping Donald Trump convince many of the more feeble-minded folks to vote for him, right? I'm not talking about all people who voted for him are feeble-minded, but a lot of people who voted for him are feeble-minded. And that goes by when you listen to some of the conversations that you have on The Daily Show and many other places, right? All right, let's continue. Lee Grant says, clearly the left are election deniers. No, we're not. You know better than that. Let's see what else we got here. Melanie Keelan says, unfortunately, a lot of people seem to think this way. Daniel Lido says, the double standard is basic Marxist strategy. You love the Marxist word, the Marxist. What can I say? Thank you for also showing the PolitiFact. In more than 60 cases, judges looked at the allegations that Trump was making and determined that they were all without any merit. Thank you very much, Bridge MCP. All right, let's see what else we got here. Michael Rodney says sexual assault tends to be a serial crime. If there happens to be a single accuser, probably not true. If there's more than 5 or so, guy's probably a rapist. So in the example, Trump has 26 sexual assault accusers. Yeah, he's a rapist. All right, let's see what else we got here. Bridge MCP says if the left are election deniers, why did 61 courts throw out the claim of, the election fraud claim is just that. The claim itself is a fraud. We know that. Mike Cisak says, Bridge MCP and Rodney, Tara Reid was threatened by Joe Biden and others with murder. She had to flee for her life. I love the way you guys can create some stories. You guys are funny. It makes you look silly, but you're funny. Daniel Lido says, for a Republican, the accusation is enough to establish guilt in the jaundiced mind of Marxist left. Okay, if you think so. We also have Daniel Lido, E2247 says, if you are neutral in situation of injustice, you choose to be on the side of the oppressor. And there's another way of saying it as well, brother E2247. We actually say you are complicit. What are you? You are complicit. Mike Cisak says, Bridge MCP, the courts never took up the cases. They did take some up. I know some of them simply didn't have stand-in. It's a law. They didn't have stand-in. Before you can even talk about there being a remedy or something being wrong, you must have what again? Stand-in. And stand-in just means that some ill occurred. They had no stand-in, so you have to meet 2 criteria, right? If you can't even meet stand-in, what does it tell you? Thank you. All right, Eric Hayes, let's take from Michael Rudden. Eric Hayes, let's take that thought in a different direction. The Atlantic from 2014. Police have a much bigger domestic abuse problem than the NFL does. Research suggests that family violence is 2 to 4 times higher in law enforcement community than in the general population. So where's the public outrage? Thank you. Where is the public outrage about cops beating up their wives? Where's the public outrage from the anti-abortion movement, where a police officer blew a cap in a 21-year-old girl pregnant in Ohio? You know, Ohio loved to kill people of color coming out of stores all of the times. It happens over and over again in Ohio. You know, police officers to a lot of people of color in Ohio are a clear and present danger to our lives. Well, I consider them a clear and present danger in general. All right, let's see what else we got. Daniel Lido say, is there a list of all the children Biden have sniffed and groped? You guys are so funny. But again, I know it makes you feel better. Mike Cisak said, there goes Egberto pushing the Russia hoax again. There's no Russia hoax. That was a true thing and verifiable and quantifiable. Michael Rodden says, Egberto, Obama promised a public option, then threw away the promise. That's why I said public option rather than a universal healthcare system such as Medicare for all. Yep, he did it because of that crazy guy from Connecticut who said he would simply let the bill die. It was a Democrat who sank the bill. Imagine that. What's the name of the senator from Connecticut? That's the one who did it. Michael Rowan says, Daniel doesn't know what a Marxist or leftist is. No, he tries, though. He tries. He used the rhetoric from the right, and you know the rhetoric from the right is never, ever, ever, ever accurate. All right, Sheila Jackson Lee challenged Trump electors. Okay. Eric Hayes says, this is a big Harris County thing, according to statistics for Crime Stoppers during the 2022. I won't read that one. Let's see. Okay, I got some more videos for you. Bernie Sanders decided it's a Labor Day weekend, so we're talking about a lot of things relative to the working class, working people, right? So what we have here is Bernie Sanders talking about healthcare, something that we all need. So Bernie lays the case out perfectly on healthcare for all. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side. Well, I need to make sure. Bernie talks about healthcare. Check it out. We'll take it on the other side.
You and I have had many talks about the universality of healthcare and why it's so weird that America doesn't have it. We made some people say a very big step, but in the grand scheme of things, it was a small step with the prescription drug discussion, taking these 10 prescription drugs and allowing Medicare to negotiate for them the same way Costco negotiates for a better price on peanut butter because they're a bulk buyer. And everybody's out there calling it communism and socialist price fixing and all this kind of stuff. It's a little step. It's a meaningful $50 billion step, but it's a little step.
It's not everybody. It's just the ruling class. It's just the pharmaceutical industry that makes tens of billions of dollars in profit every single year by charging us the highest prices in the world. It's the Chamber of Commerce. It's the big corporations. Oh, my God. Imagine that. The government is actually doing something for working people to lower the cost of prescription drugs. This must be communism. This is awful and horrible. All right, 80% of the American people support Medicare negotiating prices. So it's not everybody. Vast majority of the people understand that the pharmaceutical industry is incredibly greedy. But we have got to go further. This, as you indicate, is a very tepid step forward. We're going to bring legislation in which does something very simple. It says, you know what? In America, we should not be paying 10 times more for the same drugs as Canada or Europeans are paying. We're going to pay the same prices. And I'm sure the industry will go crazy and put all kinds of 30-second ads on TV. But bottom line is, that's what the American people want. Healthcare is the same thing. Our healthcare system is totally broken. It should not be employer-based healthcare. We've got to do, as you and I have chatted about many times, what Canada, what other countries do. Healthcare is a human right, not a privilege. We should not be spending $13,000 for every man, woman, and child, while 85 million are uninsured or underinsured.
I will say, as a guy who gets accused of being a communist a lot, how do you explain to people that what this bill is about prescription drugs is causing people who wish to sell into Medicare, which is a major distributor of drugs, to negotiate a price? To negotiate a price, not government control of the manufacture of drugs. And if you don't want to negotiate a price, guess what? Sell it on the free market outside of Medicare. That's your choice.
This is such a radical idea, Ali. It's what every other major country in the world does. Everyone. It's what the Europeans do, the Canadians do.
We are the only
country. We are the only country in the world that says to the drug company, oh, you want to charge, half of this is really crazy stuff. Half of the new drugs now coming onto the market. You know what their treatment is? You know how much it costs? Over $200,000. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. People can't afford it. Medicare is going to go bankrupt, or premiums are going to go soaring. So what we have got to tell the pharmaceutical industry is we want research, we want development, we want you to deal with cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, all the terrible illnesses out. But all your drugs in the world don't mean anything if people cannot afford it. The function of the pharmaceutical industry is to help cure disease, not to make billionaires even richer.
Absolutely so. Absolutely so. And though, you know what drives me crazy? All of us need health care. All of us need affordable health care. None of us want to be bankrupted by the healthcare industry stealing our money, you know. And what I don't get, including in our room, for the conservatives in our room, that somehow object to policies that ensure that if they get sick, their relatives get sick, they don't go bankrupt. This is how effective hate is. This is how effective divide and conquer is. You let people hate among each other, right? And this is what you're able to achieve. I saw a TikTok from Bernie, and I'm going to look it up and I'm going to post it in its own piece later on today, where Bernie identifies exactly what the plutocracy has done. It has turned us against each other using race, gender, and all these things, and so that we take our eye off the ball, and then they sweep it through. No sensible person can say, how can the United States government pay for the initial development of most drugs to prove their viability, transfer the patent to a drug company, allow a drug company to charge whatever you can, and when the government comes back and say, no, we actually paid for that, we are not going to allow you to do that, the same people that you're helping you're not helping liberals, you're helping liberals, progressive, anarchists, conservatives, and everybody else to go ahead and try to make their lives better, more cost effective. And what do? Because they're sick in the mind with that ideological rump, they decide and say, I don't like that. And the pharmaceutical companies run to the bank and say, look at those suckers. They just make it so easy for us to rip them off. They make it so easy for us to rip us off. I wrote the book, As I See It, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom, a few years ago, and it's still a seller. People still buy it here and there. And the idea was to explain all these concepts from farming to healthcare. I explain all of that in my book, As I See It, as I see it. It's funny when you forget the name of your own book, right? As I See It, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. And I wrote that book when I was upset when the Medicare for All debate was going on, right? And the book continues to be so effective and real in that the more things changed, the more they stayed the same, and why it is that we have to keep the pressure on. But Bernie said something that was relative to my book today. And I was listening to the interview that he did, and I was like, wow, yeah, Bernie, exactly right. Check it out, and we'll... Bernie sat there and he spoke about it is time now for us to have class warfare because the upper class, they're cleaning our clocks. Check it out from Bernie, and we'll take it on the other side.
You got millions of working class people out there who say, I understand Trump is a phony, but he claims at least to be standing for us. Who cares about us? And what we have got to do, what the Democrats have got to do, is begin to engage in class politics, to understand that we've been in a class war now for decades, and the wrong class is winning. And they got to be clear in standing up for the working class of this country, raising the minimum wage, passing labor law legislation, making it easier for workers to join unions, reforming our healthcare system so that we move to a universal healthcare system, not have 85 million uninsured or underinsured, substantially lower the cost of prescription drugs, build the affordable housing that we need. We need to start standing up for the working class, not just the big campaign contributors and the 1%.
Is it your sense that Democrats are doing enough to tell people that they're working for them? Because I heard from you a little early in this conversation, your sense that you don't think they are.
Of course not. They're not. And that's why Trump is doing as well as he is. I don't think that the average worker out there believes with Trump, let's give more tax breaks to billionaires, or agrees with Republicans who want to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, education. They don't believe that. but they don't believe that the Democrats are standing up and fighting for them and taking on the corporate greed that exists out there right now. And that's what the Democrats should be doing. And if they do that, Biden's going to win this election in a landslide.
Yes, if they do that, Biden will win the election in a landslide. Well, folks, I am going to be shutting down a bit early today, but beforehand, I'll finish reading some of your topics here. Bree says healthcare, water, and air should be free for all. Period. Big pharma needs regulating. They make a profit, but not greed. I don't have a problem with them making profit, but the truth of the matter is, it proves to me that right? The making of medicines, if private companies want to make medicines, let them go ahead and do it. But I think all the development that occurs in the universities and etc., all those patents should stay with the government. In other words, if the government, if the NIH paid for something, if the government funded the research in school, etc., all those patents should remain with the government, and then the government can pay a pharmaceutical company to run tests. They can pay a pharmaceutical company to do all these things if they want to, or since healthcare is an ongoing thing, they should form their own pharmaceutical agency. I would love to see a pharmaceutical agency that develops stuff. Look, NASA does it, but eventually what NASA did as well is farm things out to private companies to build. And what happens too often is the private companies make substandard stuff, not directly to the specification of NASA. By the way, I work for NASA. I understand how it all works out there. So I'm not just pulling this stuff out of my you-know-what. Anyhow, so that is important. Breed says, Michael Rundon, in 2016, Trump basically ran a universal healthcare plan. It was completely BS, as was all his other promises, but Trump recognized how much the American population wanted a universal healthcare system. So he just lied and said he was going to give it. So that gave people the impetus to go ahead and vote for him. Now, will they do it again? Actually, they could, and they will. If the Democratic Party doesn't hold heed to what Bernie just said, and that is, hey, you got to make sure that people know what you stand for. Anyhow, folks, I'm going to be out of here in a few minutes, but before I go, I want to ask you so kindly to support the program. How can you support the program? You support the program by going to politicsdoneright.com/support. politicsdoneright.com/support. I'm putting the link in the feed. We couldn't do this without you. politicsdoneright.com/support. You can also subscribe to our newsletter. Become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. If you're a paid subscriber of our newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, you will be able to read all our books on Substack. Again, I'm slowly migrating. I have 2 of the 5 books already on Substack. I'm going to, as time goes on, I'll get the other books there. But even the new books that I'm writing, I'm working on 3 new books right now. All of those books will be on Substack. So anybody who goes ahead and, oh, yes, ask Egberto anything. That is on Saturday. Thank you for reminding me, Eric. Ask Egberto anything. Please go to politicsdoneright.com/ oh, you know what? Wait a minute. I did say that we were going to postpone it for 1 week. Yeah, we're postponing Ask Egberto anything for 1 week. I just remember I should have sent a notice out on that. I'll send a notice out on that inside of my Substack tonight. I will send a message out in the Substack tonight. But anyhow, folks, please support the program one more time. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter is the way to subscribe to our newsletter. If you get a paid subscription, there's a lot of perks that we're going to have. We have some right now, and we'll continue to have perks after perks after perks. Again, just to say thank you for supporting the program. And again, the all-encompassing way to support the program is at politicsdoneright.com/support. Anyway, folks, thank you so kindly. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the program. We couldn't do it without all of you. How do I tag Egberto? Just at Egberto Willies, I think it is, for Facebook. at Egberto Willies on Facebook. And if you're doing it on YouTube, it's just at Egberto Willies. That is how you tag me. Anyway, folks, I hope you have a wonderful Labor Day. Remember, Ask Egberto is postponed 1 week. So please tag everyone you're it. Aha, I love it. You watch. I didn't realize that you watch Tom Hartman. He's a great guy, good friend of mine. Anyway, my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.